What's going on, everybody? Look, man, it is Tuesday, July 13th, and we are back free as fuck with Marshall Holmes. We are going to amp up our content. We're going to produce more episodes. I called this one a Minisode because I didn't really, we were just talking about it, and we plan on us having to do like a 2-3 hour long sit down.
You know what's great about being free as fuck?
Could do whatever we want.
Do whatever the fuck we want. There is no time limit. There is nobody telling us what to do. We get in there. We sit behind these microphones. We just do whatever the fuck we want. And
right?
I love that. I
love
that.
There's just so much happening out here that we really need to I want to just touch on it because I see it all day. And I don't have anyone to talk about it. So I'm like, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if you haven't already and you're watching the show, hit the like button on the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you want to be notified, hit the notification bell, etc. You can also join the chat. We will definitely read your comments if you have comments pertaining to our topics, or you have comments that you want us to discuss about other topics. Also join that. I want to thank everybody for commenting on the last videos and clips that we put up. A lot of kind comments on there, and so we really appreciate you guys taking time out of your life to listen to what we have to say about what's happening in the world. And I'm going to kick it off with this one right here. Gavin Newsom will not be listed as a Democrat in upcoming California recall vote. Do you know anything about what's happening with Newsom and the recall?
Well, first of all, in my lifetime, I've watched the governor of California be recalled at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
so it happens a lot. I know that it doesn't catch my attention as much as it used to because it just seems to happen a lot. I don't know much about him. I would imagine he's doing a shitty job.
Doing a terrible job.
There's nothing I've ever heard about living in California that's pleasant. I've visited Los Angeles. It was 3 or 4 of the worst fucking days of my life. The entire town, every single part of it smells like urine. The entire city, and the reason that it smells like urine is because everywhere you look, there's somebody taking a piss.
Right.
I mean,
the videos you see from California are mind-blowing. Just people just fucking on the street. I mean, it's insane.
It's insane.
It's dirty.
Yeah, I would. So, there's no way I would want.
What's going on? People are very upset with the way Newsom handled COVID. Like by far, they locked down California longer than any other place in the country.
I'm sure.
And then on top of locking down California, Newsom also went out and did all the things that you weren't allowed to do.
Yeah. A complete fucking
having
hypocrite.
Dinner, it was insane. So,
I saw that.
in order for them to it's going to happen, I think September 12th or 14th is what it shows here. It's coming up. Yeah, September 14th is when it's currently set. Now, in order for them to recall him, 50% of people have to go in there and say they want to do the recall. And now, what's frustrating to me is there are several good candidates for this, and I don't even live in California. We don't live there, but the only one that people give a shit about talking about is Caitlyn Jenner, which is frustrating. Which is zero.
By the way,
chance.
I have seen her interviewed 2 or 3 times, and it is mind numbing. You would think that somebody who's that prominent would have something to say.
No.
Would have be like, all right, I know that I'm the leader. Y'all are counting on me to step up. I'm going to be And look, you're talking about a former Olympic champion. You're talking about somebody who was on TV for years on a very successful TV show.
That's a different person.
Right. I get it. Right.
That person also killed somebody.
I get that. But what I'm saying is you would think with that background, it's still the same human being. It might be a different person, but it's the same human being. You would think with that background, that person would have a little bit of sense of let me prepare. Let me get ready. No, look, we do a podcast that 8 people are watching.
That's more than 8 people.
All right, fine. Well, good. But I'm saying, I'm not knocking it. But let me tell you this. I prepare all fucking day. Every fucking second I'm awake. I'm getting ready for the next episode to make sure that I'm not just up here spouting bullshit. She's on national television in front of 50 million people at a time on some of the biggest TV shows on Fox, on some of the biggest TV shows on the other news networks, and she does not have one coherent thought to put together.
You're not wrong.
Look, if Gavin Newsom sucks, which he clearly does.
Where I'm going with this, what I find the most interesting and in what's happening, Gavin Newsom sued the state of California. because of this.
All right.
Because there is a statute to the law that he has a certain amount of time to declare what party he's running for. Right? He did not. This is a law, by the way, that he also had a part in enacting.
Of course.
He is not going to be listed as a Democrat on the ballot because he did not put that in time. Right? So he realized that he messed up.
No,
he messed up, and he didn't put a Democrat on there.
And shit goes
and
like
so
that,
he sued the state of California, and they denied it. So he's not going to be listed as a Democrat, and he's freaking furious. Now, what is funny is that it shouldn't matter, but people are going to vote Democrat.
Maybe.
On the most.
Maybe.
It's freaking California, man.
Well, but they know him too. They know they're familiar with him. He's not some no name. I know who he is, and I'm in Georgia. So I mean, if you're in California, he's on TV. He was married to Guilfoyle. I mean, he's been around politics for a long time. They know who he is. Look, to me, I look at that. I see a giant stall tactic by him. I think he knows he's going to lose. There's no way, no matter who you are, Democrat or Republican, you can look at what's going on in California and say to yourself, holy shit, the people in charge are doing a great fucking job. Right. No matter who you are in California, Democrat, Republican, whatever you are, and I know it's a lot of Democrats. I get that. And I'm not a Democrat, so I don't really understand why people are. But I will say, I don't understand. Or when I see something like that, I think of somebody who is trying to just delay the process. He does not think that being a Democrat or whatever is going to make any difference other than he doesn't want it to happen. Because if it does happen, he's going to lose. And he knows he's going to lose. And there's no way anybody is happy with the job that he's doing.
No.
There's no way anybody's supporting. How could anybody be saying, yeah, he did good. No, let's overlook the things that are going on. You can't walk down the street in California without walking through a homeless encampment. They're everywhere. Right. They're literally everywhere. And you can't just arrest them. That's not a solution. First of all, I don't know what a solution is to that much homelessness. I can say for myself, I just this week reestablished myself from 7 years of homelessness. So I know how long it fucking takes. And I didn't even consider myself homeless. I lived in my Jeep. I always thought to myself, I've got a home. I'm good. I can tell you just on the ride over here from being homeless and knowing that when I left here, I was going to go to a bed in a nice temperature and I didn't have to worry about whether I was going to be freezing cold or whether I was going to be hot as shit or whether I was going to have something to eat because I got a refrigerator full of food. I can tell you it makes a big difference, and it's not easy for everybody to get to that point. And I don't know what the solution is, but in California, it's out of fucking control. That's the biggest thing I notice about it.
I think this guy right here is the solution.
Who's it?
It's Kevin Paffrath. I've done videos about Kevin Paffrath. Kevin he's 20, I think he's 29 years old. Damn. He moved to California when he was 18 with $1,000 in his pocket. He began his journey in real estate. He bought a house. He ended up flipping the house when the market went up, made some money, became a real estate agent, became a broker. He's a stock investor. He's a YouTuber. The kid's made himself about a net worth of about $30 million.
I'm listening.
And he has
a lot of greed.
It's a good bit of change. But he runs a bunch of courses where he teaches people investing, how to be smart with their money on YouTube. It's like a one-time thing you pay in your lifetime. He's helped a lot of people out.
All right.
But he has a lot of really new and good ideas for the state of California. And
what is he?
He's running as a Democrat. He's running as a Democrat.
He's a Democrat. Is he a Democrat, or is he just running as one so he can think it'll make a better chance for him to win?
Yeah, I think he's just doing it as a chance to win. I wouldn't say he's really a Democrat. I mean,
if you like him, I find it hard to believe.
Yeah, he's a Democrat. I mean, I do. I think he's got what's frustrating to me is that when you see an article like this one and they talk about the other people running, like this is the only person is Caitlyn Jenner.
Right.
No chance that she wins.
Well, 0% first of all, let's say this. I don't know where the polls are. I have no idea where the polls are.
I know where they're not.
I will say. I would say that my guess would be she has a shot just on name recognition alone. There are people out there that, man, look, let me tell you something. I used to tell all the people I worked with at the restaurant I was at in New York. He used to always look at me and ask me how certain things happen. He would, a friend of mine, he was from the Dominican Republic. His name was Christian, and he was such a great guy, and he was really smart, and he was trying to figure out how to make his life better. And he used to always ask me why things in America were the way they were in America. He asked me that all the time. Right. And I told him, I was like, man, let me tell you something. The average human being is dumb as fuck. The average person is dumb as fuck, and they're not interested in becoming any more intelligent than they already are. I don't understand what it's like to be dumb as fuck. I'm not the most smartest guy in the world, but I'm not dumb as fuck, and I'm always trying to learn. And I encounter people all the time that have no interest in learning. They have no interest in educating themselves. They have no interest in becoming wiser on the issues. They don't want to understand current events. Right. They don't want to understand politics. And they will go to the polls on that day because their friend told them to, or because they saw it on the news, or because they saw it on the Kardashians told them to. And they will go in there and they will recognize the name Caitlyn Jenner, and they will know who Caitlyn Jenner is, and they will vote for Caitlyn Jenner with no knowledge of what she's going to do as the governor. And I can tell you this from seeing her interviewed. If she becomes the governor of California, California is fucked. California is fucked because she doesn't have a single solution for anything. Nothing.
Oh, I said this. I said if Caitlyn Jenner becomes the governor and Nancy Pelosi still reigns over there, there's now 49 states. We're just going to cut it off. We're going to get over there, get your shovel, and just start digging California. It can float off.
You know, the thing about it is, I don't know if it's still the case or not, but I heard not too long ago, and I'm not a California person by any means. I've been there a few times. Everybody's always like, man, California, you should go to LA. You should go to California, man. California, San Francisco, San Diego. Oh, man, fucking great. I've been there. It sucks. There's nothing about it that I like. There's nothing enjoyable. The people are pompous as fuck, or they're either pompous and arrogant as fuck, or they are penniless and living and pissing in the street. And those are the only two extremes of what happens, what exists in California. And they cannot figure it out. They cannot solve it. They're not trying to. Caitlyn Jenner sure as fuck is not going to solve any problem. Gavin Newsom, whoever has been, how do you become an elected official in California? They've re-elected Nancy Pelosi. Take a look at the district where she lives. No. I'm not wrong. I'm just like, there's literally human shit everywhere you step in San Francisco. Human shit. People are shitting on the sidewalk, and the people are like, let's vote her in again.
Yeah, she's doing a great job.
Right.
You know.
That's why I'm saying, when you tell me that Caitlyn Jenner has no chance, I'm telling you, Caitlyn Jenner has a chance because people recognize her name. This dude you're talking about, maybe he could be I'd love to see some young people come in and do something different, man.
For sure.
We need it. I mean, people talk about how lazy and how horrible this next generation is. Here's what I'll tell you about. I know about this next generation because my son's 18 years old. They fucking get along with each other. They get along with each other. And that's more important to them than anything else. They don't give a fuck about a stupid low-paying job, which was ground into my head when I was a fucking kid. They're like, you got to get a fucking job. And I would go get a job and I'd be like, this is fucking miserable. Right. I'm making no money and I'm being treated like a fucking turd and I fucking hate it. And my son he's had a couple different jobs and he'd never last more than about 3 weeks. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, it was awful. They were treating me like shit. And anyone that did talk to me, cussed at me. Most people ignored me. They gave me the worst things to do. I would ask questions. Nobody would answer them. But you know what I've noticed from being around him? He and his friends talk to each other in a way that they don't just sit around putting each other down and insulting each other and being mean to each other and saying shit about other people. They talk and they're friendly and they like each other. They all do. They hang out in groups. You see a group of young people now, you're going to see Black, Asian, Hispanic, white, all hanging out together, having fun with no sense of race or different socioeconomic status at all. They just chill, man. They just all hang out and have a good time. And I think that's good. And if we could learn from them. people insult them and put them down. I think they're wrong. I think they're very wrong, and they are the future. So
I believe, yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll end with this, that whole segment on this. I believe that the lockdown did bring out something in the younger generation where they went, you know what I can do? And then not only was it the lockdown, but they also got a little bit of money that maybe they didn't have, because a lot of people put money in the stock market. And they became, you know what I can do? I can trade stocks. It's easier. I got an app. I can just get on there. I don't have to know really much. They follow each other. They follow each other on social media. A couple of them, lead the charge, and they do the research, the diligence, and they teach each other.
Yeah, I noticed
and
that.
now you've
with
got
my coworkers. Yeah, I saw some of my young coworkers.
I follow a guy that I saw on TikTok posting stock videos. I liked his energy, and I watched him. I said, all right, I'm going to check him out. And I check out his Discord. I pay $20 a week to be on his Discord, and it's him and there's like 5 guys traders that are on there. There's a lot of members, and they call out different stock plays throughout the day constantly. And let me tell you something: the people in that group are making money, like good money, and they're enjoying it, and they're learning, and they're being proactive in life.
The world needs leaders, man.
There's a lot of them out there. And honestly, the people creating, I used to give people shit, or not really give people shit, but I think we all thought when you had like TikTok came out, Snapchat, and all this crap, and kids are doing, making these stupid videos. You're like, oh, this is all for kids. I can tell you, they spend more time and more energy and more creativity making a 40-second clip that you can just scroll through than you spent your entire damn week at work.
No, I agree, man.
It's amazing.
I'm very impressed by them.
It's amazing.
And I think that there's another lesson that came out of that is that they all looked at each other and they're like, the adults are fucking this shit up.
Yeah.
This is our goddamn world. We're about to have to take it over. And we're locked down because these stupid motherfuckers who've been in charge, who are trying to tell us what to do
50 years.
And how to live our lives and what we should do. And they're the leaders and we're the idiots. And they're always insulting us and telling us we're worthless. These fuckers fucked the world up so bad that we're now not even able to go to goddamn school. And we're not even able to leave our fucking houses and meet each other face to face. And you know what? When we finally get out of this shit, let's make some changes. And they're engaged. And I think it's good. I do.
Big Boy said TikTok is hot. Big Boy's back on our podcast.
Nice.
I'll tell you this. A little inspiring story on TikTok. There is an artist that in California is, I'd have to look him up. I cannot remember his name. TikTok. I'm going to just do a quick search. And then I will tell it because I don't want to not say his name. Richard something here. What's his name? It's Richard. I want his doesn't tell me. This is the guy here. Let me pop the screen up just so we can all see it. Because this is a super inspiring story of and we want to talk about what kids are doing with their time and energy. Here you go. This guy here, it doesn't say what his last name is on here, but his name is Richard. He's an artist. He was a prominent artist in LA, had a studio burned to the ground, lost everything. He's homeless. Right here, this guy comes up, and this is a video after that, but the first video he did, he came up, he met him, was just talking to him, and, he found out who he was, went and bought him some art supplies so that he could paint again. The dude's homeless. The dude paints some paintings. He comes back, takes the paintings, puts them on his TikTok, talks about them, opens them up a little online store. This dude's in like less than a week sells 50 grand worth of his artwork. $50,000 raised for him.
That's awesome.
Look, this is this guy. He is not some over the top. I mean, look, he's super humbled by this.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey bought one of his paintings. He said, Steve Harvey said he remembers when he was, look at that, in the first 10 minutes, 3,800 in art sales. This kid did this for this guy.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And changed this man's entire life overnight.
Who wouldn't be changed by that?
It's
amazing.
It's amazing.
It's great to see what he does now. Great to see what that kid will do from here.
Right. What will that kid do?
What will he do beyond this? I mean, look how young he is. He's done this at that age.
Right.
That's more than I've done in my whole life. I've never given anybody $50,000.
Isn't that crazy? He gave that man a second life.
That's awesome, man.
Off
That's
TikTok.
good. See, the thing is, like I said, people, the one thing about having a place to say, I was telling you this earlier, is I now have access to what I consider to be mainstream media. And I don't watch sitcoms. I don't watch sports. I watch the news. I try to learn what's going on in the world. And I try to watch from every perspective, every angle. I look at what people would consider liberal news. I look at what people consider conservative news. I like to see the different perspectives and the way stories are presented. And the one thing that has come across my mind as I've been watching the news over the last week is there's no truth in it. There's no news being presented. What's being presented is people's opinion. What's being presented is information that's designed to divide people and make them hate each other. What's being presented is somebody's anger, somebody's idea of how to get one part of America angry at another part of America. And I'll tell you, the reason those people that are in that situation want you to be angry is because they're fucking us all every single day as hard as they possibly can. And they don't want you to notice it. And they don't want you to know that it's them that's doing it. They want you to believe it's somebody else. They want you to believe it's an illegal immigrant. They want you to believe it's a rich guy. They want you to believe it's an oil worker. They want you to believe it's a redneck. They want you to believe it's a black guy. They want you to believe it's a Hispanic guy. They want you to believe it's a gay guy. They want you to believe it's anybody other than who's actually fucking you in the ass. And it's happening all the time. And I see it now more than I did because I used to just read things on the internet and I tried to get a wide variety of news that way. But when you see what's being presented on television, holy fucking shit. Rot your fucking brain.
Hey man, Trump said fake news all day. That's all I'm saying.
Fake news.
There was a comedian, I don't know, it was a couple years back, where he was like, when I was a kid, we had morning news, evening news. We had 7 a.m. news, and we had 7 p.m. news. And sometimes you would get like a 12 to 12:30 news. That was all that, and sometimes there wasn't even enough news in the day to even fill that hour. Right. And now we have 24-hour opinion.
Right. It's
That's
not,
it.
yes,
It's
there's no
really
news. There is no news.
It's
There is no
opinion.
news. And here's what they do. All the channels, all of them. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody because I don't take sides, man. I don't. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I am a fucking human being trying to be a best human being I can fucking be. And they present a story, and then depending on what side they want you to hate, they then, as soon as they present a story, they bring in an expert whose only fucking job is to make you hate the people that they want you to hate. That's all. They're like, they'll bring in a story. They'll be like, so this happened today. We're now going to bring in Dr. Jackass, and he's going to fucking tell us all why this is all Joe Biden's fault. He's going to come in and tell us why this is all Donald Trump's fault. And I'm just like, man, look, that doesn't even, what you're talking about doesn't even fucking matter.
Right.
Is anybody right now trying to solve any of the fucking problems that are happening in America? Because all over the country, people are blowing each other away.
Oh, yeah.
All over the country, people are living in fucking makeshift tents. All over the country, people are dying of curable fucking diseases. Is anybody trying to fucking solve that? And by the way, all over the world, people are practically killing themselves to try to get here. So not only is this as fucked up as it's ever been in my lifetime, we have people all over the world that this is so much better than where they are. They'd fucking be willing to pay with their life to try to get here.
Sure. I mean, we can stick on that. We can go down the political path here because this was on both our lists. Is the Texas Democrats are fleeing Texas immediately to fly to Washington to stop the Republicans from doing something that they believe. Look, I don't know a single person. I've met anyone who feels like their vote has been suppressed. That anyone is doing anything to suppress their personal vote. But they believe right now that Republicans are just trying to stop people from voting.
All right. Well, then here's
and
what
they're running
here's
over
what I'll say about both. First
there.
here's what I'll say about both of them. Here's what I'll say about both sides of that. And this is why I don't agree with being either a Democrat or a Republican. And I pray to God as this next generation comes up, they don't fall into that trap. Because I believe that's exactly what the people who are in charge of this country want. They want these two sides barking back and forth at each other. I'll say one thing. First of all, what in the fuck kind of strategy is that to get on a fucking plane and fly the fuck up? We're just gonna run away. I've been in a million fights in my life. I've been in a million fucking fights. I know one thing about fighting. Stand there and take your fucking beating and give it your best fucking shot. Running away is not a fucking solution, because I promise you the dude you're fighting is waiting for you to come. You're going to meet up. So you might as well stand there and take your fucking medicine. Second of all, here's another side to this.
Okay.
Look, right now, for whatever reason, there are people all over this country who are trying to change every election law that we have. Whether they're making it better or making it worse, they're saying, well, we've got to do this because there's people out there who don't believe the election was fair. They don't believe the election was fair because you've been telling them that the election was not fair. So I can tell you from all that I've studied, and I've tried to look at as many different people that were involved in the election, both for Republicans and Democrats, people that don't have a dog in the fight, people that are just there to do their job. They might have a D or an R next to their name, but they're just trying to do their job as an American. And if anybody is an election official, that man, you're that's the ultimate sacrifice in terms of political service. You're getting no accolades.
Yeah.
It's like being a referee. Have you ever been a referee?
Yes, I have.
It's the worst fucking job.
I ref ice hockey.
It's horrible.
A few years.
Every single person thinks that you're fucking them and thinks that they did nothing wrong and that you're just out to get. I refereed intramural basketball when I was in fucking college for one game. One game. The manager of the football team came up to me. He's like, I had a nickname back in college. He calls me by my nickname. He's like, hey, you want to referee some intramural basketball? You get paid $4.50 an hour. And fuck, when I was in college, I was like $4.50 an hour. Fuck yeah, I'd do that for 2 hours. I got $9 fucking dollars. You goddamn right, I'm gonna fucking ref some basketball. Holy fucking shit. You'd have thought I was fucking reffing the NBA finals. These motherfuckers, they're playing. I was like, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna have a whistle. I'm gonna throw the ball up. I'm gonna call out of bounds. Man, motherfuckers are turning me. That's a foul, motherfucker. I'm just like, I ain't ever done nothing but played a little street ball.
I'll tell you this: my dad is
little street ball.
My dad still plays
fouls.
ice hockey today. He still plays ice hockey down here and on a team.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. That's like 68.
Jesus
And
Christ.
he's still playing it. And I was a kid when he started playing down here again. And we moved here. They built the ice rink and we played ice hockey. And he reffed I probably started reffing ice hockey when I was like 12 or something like that. Ref kids games and stuff with him. And he was reffing a little bit before that. And he reffed all the way up until like, I think 3 years ago. And there was just, dude, you want to talk about like, this is adults that play in a rec league.
Right.
Half the time, there's not even enough players on the team to be in the, like, just they play games with no goalie.
Right.
I mean,
no, I get it. Right. Intramural basketball. That's why when the guy told me, like, intramural basketball, do you want to be a ref? You know, I was a freshman.
Dude.
I had never even seen an intramural basketball game. I was like, sure.
they literally get
easy
so
money.
mad
It'd be fun
that
to-
he couldn't ref anymore.
Every job that I ever had, I had to wash dishes or fucking do some grueling labor. I thought or construction or I was in the army before I went to college. So all this shit that I'd ever done, I thought reffing basketball was going to be like the easiest, funnest job I ever had. And I walked up to him after the game, and he was like, how'd it go? And I was like, take this fucking whistle. I don't even need the $4.50. I don't need the money for the job that I just did. Fuck that shit. I am never doing that shit again. That was fucking crazy. But that's the thing is an election official, in my opinion, that's a referee. Their job is to oversee the thing. And look, everybody has said, anybody with any credibility, and I believe that the people that are creating these laws know this. There was no fraud. There is no reason to make these massive changes in the law. This is all a bunch of bullshit. They're all going through these fake maneuvers for some reason to try to appeal to Donald Trump. And because he keeps saying it, he keeps saying that it was fraud. It was the worst fraud, the biggest crime. And there are people out there who believe it. But the reason they believe it is because he keeps saying it. And I'm telling you, as an American, I want to know you. You're an American, okay? I get that you may or may not like Trump. I don't even fucking know whether you like him or not. But let's hit some. We want to hit some truth here.
All right.
Truth. Do you believe that he lost as a result of voter fraud?
We talked about this on the El Toro episode.
Yeah, I might have been fucked up. I want to know now that
I think that Donald Trump lost for a myriad of reasons. I don't think that it was 100% voter fraud that cost him. I don't. Look, here's my take on it. I think that people fucked up somewhere, not to the extent that he lost the election. I don't think that they miscounted or created votes enough for him to lose. Do I think that some minor things around the country happened where, like, we recounted it, we found 300 more votes for Biden, we found this? Yeah. Why do we do that? I don't know. Why can't we just count the votes one fucking time and it's accurate? That's frustrating to me, period, regardless of whether or not it was enough for it to go one way or the other. I don't think that's the reason that he lost. I think that the reason that he lost, we talked about this and you were like, you got all butthurt about it. But I think that he lost because the Democrats played a better game. I think that they played the game the entire Donald Trump presidency leading up into 1 month prior to the election. They built, I believe myself, and look, people are not going to like this. I already know.
I believe, say what you believe.
I'm going to say it anyway. I believe that the Democratic Party elevated the race war in America to suit the narrative that Donald Trump promoted the race war on his own in order to divide the country, to gain the votes that they needed to push him out. Because all of the things that happened leading up until 1 month of the election stopped. As soon as it started to hurt Biden and the Democrats, all the riots went away. All the fires went away. All the injustice went away. All the BLM went away. It all disappeared from media. You didn't see it. Show me one Black Lives Matter rally after October. Find one.
Well, first of all,
they disappeared.
Well, here's what I'll say.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Cops still kill black guys. Cops still killed white guys. Cops still killed people. There was still injustice happening. October, November, December, January, February, Biden's president, February, March, April, May, it continued to happen. However, there has not been one BLM painting on the fucking downtown road of any goddamn city. There has not been one Wendy's burned to the ground again. There has not been one takeover of a city where they were so angry. All of that stopped. They were having riots in the streets up until they went and said, wait a second, this might actually hurt the Democrats going into the election. October, it all stopped. And that is extremely
The activity
fishy.
stopped or the coverage stopped?
As far as I know, because I'm not everywhere in the world, in our country at one time, the coverage definitely disappeared.
Well, here's another
and
perspective of
a lot of it definitely not. If it was happening, it would have been on social media. We would have seen it somewhere.
Here's what I would say in terms of the perspective of that.
But I'll finish. I'll finish this before you go, and I'll say that's the game that they played. That was brilliant because Trump won originally based on grassroots playing the game to which he was familiar with, which is I need to win these particular places in order to get enough votes. And the Democrats said, we know he's going to play the same game. We need to take away the votes from other places as well. And they went and hit him where he had no recourse because at the end of the day, in 2021, Biden has taken zero blame for pretty much anything that has happened since he's been in office.
All right. Well, here's what I'll say in terms of having that big of an ability to control events. I look at, I used to play sports in high school, and I had coaches at every level and every team that I was on. And the coaches always wanted us to follow a very specific game plan. They always wanted us to follow a very specific play. They always wanted us to do things a very specific way. They told us if we did these things that they were guiding us to do, that we would win. Well, the coaches were never out on the field, and the coaches could never relate to what was happening live. I don't think it's possible for anybody to have that type of a strategic overview of what's happening in the world. And I'm just talking about, I'm comparing it to a high school playing field. The world. There are events that are happening all day, everywhere. And we don't even know what's going to go viral, what's going to catch people's attention, what's going to be important. We don't know. And there's not as much. And one of the things that's driving these people crazy that are in charge of all this shit is that they can't control it anymore. There's too much ability. You and I only exist on this platform because nobody can tell us we can't.
Right.
There's nobody out there knocking down the door going, hey, Lorne, Marshall, you guys want your own show? We'll put you on fucking TV. We'll do whatever. Right. No, we are able to do what we want to do because this is what we want to do. Now, you look at the world and the events of the world. Is it possible? I do recall, first of all, nobody planned on rioting. Nobody planned on that cop putting his... That was one of the craziest things I'd ever watched in my life. Most of the time when those type of things occur and those videos come out, I don't watch them. I don't want my viewpoint to be warped by a single event. I don't. So I don't watch them. When crazy news stories come out surrounding a specific thing,
right,
I intentionally don't watch them. I listen to the reaction. I think about what other people are saying about it, and I try to perceive in my mind, okay, this is their reaction, this is their reaction, this is what I believe happened. I can get a vision of it in my mind that's better than me actually watching it, because if I watch it, I'm going to form too strong of an opinion to be able to objectively look at it.
Right.
In this particular case, what I understood from hearing about the video, I couldn't not watch it.
That's
as what I heard what happened.
Right.
And not only that, it was presented in front of me several times before I actually did watch it. My social media is limited. My computer knowledge is limited. I go on very few things. I go on the news. I go on this. I go on that. And a lot of times the things that I go to skip over the video. There is no video. It's just people talking about it. In this particular case, it was presented to me 3 or 4 times, and finally I clicked on it and I watched it. And it's as close as I've ever come to completely quitting doing every single thing I was in the minute of doing and driving to a place and participating in whatever level of protest needed to be participated in. So I completely understood what was happening among all of those people all over the country that were like, fuck. And man, I'm not even black. My reaction to that was as a human being. Right. I'm watching a human being on the ground begging for his fucking life. And I saw the Chris Garner. I heard the tape. I didn't ever see the video, but I know he begged for his life and said, I can't breathe. You're choking me to fucking death. And in the middle of a sidewalk, there was no video of it. A cop choked him to fucking death for selling $2 cigarettes and choked him to death in the middle of a crowd of people that watched it all happen. Yeah. We didn't see a video of it. Right. But this time there was a fucking video of it. Dude, not only did this guy's begging, he's pleading with them. He's like, please, you're fucking killing me. Stop. And man, you look in that cop's face when he's doing that. You look in his just complete disregard for any level of sympathy, any level of caring, any level of reaction. He didn't even flinch.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, so from that, now you have this reaction around the country. People are fucking mad.
Right.
And the people that are mad are not people that saw just this one thing. These are people that are been experiencing the same fucking shit themselves all their lives, to a lesser degree. Obviously not being murdered, but I've been fucking hassled by the cops. I know what they can be like when they know that they have unchecked authority. I know exactly what they can be like to me. And I'm a white guy. I'm supposedly the most privileged person in the world. And I know how they would treat me when they catch me in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. It's me and them, their authority, my life. They don't give a fuck. And they make it clear to you. They make it very clear to you. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Now, these people are all over the country. They've been experiencing this all their lives. They're fucking rising up. They don't give a fuck who the president is. They don't give a fuck how it affects the campaign. They don't give a shit. They're sick and fucking tired of people abusing them, and they're not going to fucking take it anymore. Now, is it possible? Yeah, that violence was crazy, and I support it. I don't give a fuck, man. Look, let me tell you something. Fuck my life up to the point where I am violent, and your property no longer fucking matters to me. I don't give a flying fuck. I'll throw a chair through your window. I'll fucking light your shit on fire. I don't give a fuck. I'll fucking pull. If I have a gun, I'll pull the gun out. I'll blow your fucking head off. I don't give a fuck. If I feel like my life is in danger, my life is in jeopardy, I will destroy everything about you, everything about your fucking life. I don't give a flying fuck. So these people are out there doing all this shit. And yeah, maybe they heard on the news. They're watching it. I'm sure they can see what's happening. They're like, every night, they're eventually going home. I mean, they're not 24 hours. They got phones. They can fucking see what's going on. They're watching the news. And they're like, this is starting to affect so that it's impacting Donald Trump. And he might win as a result of all this chaos. And maybe they all said to themselves, well, fuck, we sure as fuck don't want that to happen. Let's stop. Nope. And let's fucking see.
The only reason I say that is because in no way did any of that help Donald Trump's campaign at all. But
he used it in his used it in his campaign ads.
He tried.
He used it in his ads.
He tried to negate the downside. The downside for Trump was tremendous. But as soon it did start to bleed over into the Democratic side, right about the end of September, early October.
Sure, I
and
remember.
Then they were like,
saying, "This is too much."
It was the whole thing was pretty crazy. And even I understand all of that. And what frustrates me about kind of is that, like, if you want to, and I don't even want to go down this road honestly, but if you want to go down the Floyd role of how he died, he is not the only person that died like that on camera. There's another guy.
Maybe not.
No, that's 100% true. There was another guy. There's a white dude that got pulled over, and what makes his case even worse than Floyd's is that while he was telling them he couldn't breathe and he was dying, the cops were laughing as he died on the side of the road. And honestly, there's more than likely way more than two people that have died in that very exact same situation. We just don't have a video of it. The body cam video is what was of the other. There was.
I've seen their indifference. Look, I've seen them laugh at me when they put you in the back of a car and you're in cuffs. And you told me you've been arrested a few times. I'm sure you have. Well, they put you in the back of the car and you're in cuffs and it's 90 degrees outside.
Dude, they don't give a fuck.
You know from watching TV that when somebody is inside of a closed car and it's 100 degrees outside, people die in the back seat. You start to lose your breath. You start to suffocate. It's terrifying. Yeah. You are cuffed. Your hands are behind your back. The windows are locked. The bars are in front of you. You're sitting in the seat, you're strapped in, you can't move, you can't do anything, and you're getting hot, and they're just standing around out front of the fucking car, joking and fucking around, and you start banging your fucking head against a goddamn window. Hey man, I'm fucking dying in here. And they don't give a shit.
No, that's a different inherent problem.
Well, no, my point is, man, I believed this at the time, and that's why I wanted to participate. I believe that it happens to black people more often. Definitely. But I believe that the abuse of authority happens to everybody.
Yep.
And I believe it happens as much to people just because of their monetary status. I would say that if you're a rich person in America, you will not be subjected to the same level of treatment as you will as somebody who has nothing. When I get pulled over, I drive a Jeep that's 21 fucking years old. It reeks of marijuana. It reeks of being a guy living in it. You can probably fucking tell. And when they pull me over, I know that I'm fucked. Completely fucked. Whether I've done anything wrong or not.
I don't know that it's I mean, definitely money plays a role, but at a certain point money doesn't play a role. If you've got rappers out there that have, you know, that are clearly doing things illegal, whether it's weapons charges or whatever, they don't care. And because they're part of that street cred side of things, they got money, but they're going to get treated like shit because look, and a lot of it does have to do with the way that they react. I believe that. I think the cop situation, that's a whole different episode of what we can go down. But
we always go down.
We go down a rabbit hole. I'm gonna take let's take a quick break. I don't have a drink, so I need something to drink. So I'm just gonna hit the BRB real quick, and
I'll sit here and chill.
And we will pop back in. And
because there's still I don't know how long you want to go, but there's still a shitload of stuff to go.
I know
over.
we do have a good bit. I want to touch on a couple more topics, but I do have to feed the kids eventually.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna go forever tonight.
Right.
But
hey man,
let me grab this
go
thing here.
as long as you feel.
Yeah, there was a couple things that I definitely want to talk about. So so let me just grab this, and we'll be right back, and we will
instead of
leaving me sitting here
by
myself. I won't
myself.
leave you by yourself. All right. All right. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Cool.
So we're gonna move on.
We're gonna move on. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's just talk about this because this story to me is fucking crazy.
Which one?
This one right here. Chicago rapper KTS Dre shot at least 64 times, killed after jail release. First of all, I'm gonna say this: whoever was responsible for this, the accuracy is impeccable, because how many people you know get shot 64 times? Not only that. There were 2 people around him that just had one grazed bullet wound.
Obviously,
64 bullets.
That's almost.
Holy
that's got to be
shit.
close to point blank range.
No, it's not. It said right here that look, he had he posted bond, and it was like weapons charges and something else that he was in there for. It says he was walking to a vehicle when several suspects exited 2 separate vehicles and all began to shoot in Sylvester's direction, striking him numerous times. Numerous? Bro,
well,
64
right. No,
shots.
That's fucking. That's just, no.
Right.
First of all,
wow, that's a lot of bullets, bro.
Yeah,
he was in felony possession of a weapon and resisting police. Posted his bond, but it was some kind of gang-related hit. And there was another.
It wasn't an accident.
Yeah, and there was another rapper, I guess, here that was streaming live on Instagram when somebody pulled up and shot him 12 times, killed him live on Instagram. That's freaking crazy.
I met a dude. I knew a dude I worked construction with. Got shot 9 times and survived it. He came back to work.
Well, you can get shot and survive, but not 64 times.
No,
Holy
64
balls.
times gonna do it.
Oh, and also, this is in Chicago, because that's not surprising.
Right.
Right. And no arrests have been made.
Of course not.
How do you pull? First of all, he was released from jail.
Right.
Walking to his car.
Let's be clear on why. So that
It appears, Marshall.
They don't want to find the guy.
Marshall.
They don't care.
The story says.
They're glad he's dead.
It appears to have been targeted. No shit.
Right. No, they targeted him.
What?
They targeted him. They definitely targeted him.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, hey, man, look. They're not finding the people that did it because they don't give a fuck who did it.
They don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit. They don't fucking
Chicago,
care.
man, is the Wild West.
They've got a shooting every 10 minutes. So this guy getting 64 bullets might stand out among the people that got bullets, but there's another shrug and another blanket over the guy, and let's move on to the next guy getting shot. And
that's crazy.
my thing is when I hear all this crap, and it's happening right here in my fucking home, right here in my fucking beloved home of America that I love so much, and I'm thinking to myself, man, what the fuck are y'all doing? Why are y'all doing this shit? First of all, whatever he is, he's not the worst criminal in the fucking world compared to other fucking people that are out there doing worse shit. If you want to put 64 fucking bullets in somebody, find some of these motherfuckers that are fucking all of us all goddamn day, all fucking every second of our lives, and put 64 fucking bullets in their ass.
There you go. I mean, that's, the irony is this name here is
What did he
KTS.
do? Who is he? What did he do?
He's a rapper.
Okay.
KTS Dre. The irony is that KTS stands for Kill to Survive. Didn't work out well for him.
Right.
And he was arrested for felony gun possession and resisting arrest. But he had some kind of gang. Look, he was fitted with an ankle monitor before he was released. And he had gang affiliations.
I mean,
stuff.
I'm not in that environment.
I
can't say what I would do.
Because you had mentioned you've been watching TV and that the news, how the news portrays things, and I thought the article was interesting because they're like, well,
right.
the way that they put it, they're like, it may have been targeted. Right. You don't shoot a motherfucker 64 times and not kill the people around him and tell me it may have been targeted. As he walked out of jail and nobody arrested anybody. They were like, we don't know who did it.
Right.
If there's not one surveilled place on the planet that is more surveilled than
they have video everywhere. They know. First of all, let me tell you, I promise you this. The cops know exactly who fucking did it. They know exactly who fucking did it. If you're a cop in Chicago right now, you know all the fucking gangs. You know what they dress. If you're in a gang, gangs dress a certain way. They have certain ways that they conduct their business. They do things a certain way. They know all these motherfuckers. They know their names. They know their street names. They know how they live. They know where they are. They know everything about them. They know who fucking killed this guy. They don't give a fuck. They might have had something to do with it. You know, there's nothing that tells me that the cops, he resisted arrest. What, I mean, how bad did he resist arrest? Did he fuck some cops up while he was resisting arrest? Sometimes some guy resists arrest. It takes like 10 cops to fucking bring him down. Maybe he fucked up 2 or 3 of them on the way down, and they were like, hey man, take this motherfucker out. We don't mind that y'all are selling drugs. We don't mind that y'all are pimping out some hoes. We don't give a shit that you're fucking doing all kinds of illegal crap. What we don't want is you fighting us when we come to arrest you. So if
that's a stretch, but
no, man, dude, ain't no stretch. Ain't no stretch.
All right, I don't know. It was an interesting. A story popped up, and I was just like, dude, 64 bullets. That's like just say bang in your head 64 times. That's a lot of bullets.
Yeah, sure. No,
it's a lot of holes.
It's a long time. There's a lot of court attorneys that when they go to court and the victim of the crime has been shot a certain number of times, they'll use that tactic in court. They'll go into court and they'll say, "Let me show you what 10 bullets hitting somebody sounds like and how long it takes." And they'll stand there in court and they'll do it out. They'll have a timer next to them and they're like, bang, bang, you know. So yeah, 64. I mean, a group of people got out of the car, obviously, clearly after this guy. I find it hard to believe he didn't know that there was a group of people that were coming after him. And if he had a gang affiliation, his gang let him down.
Someone let him down.
His gang should have been there, should have been around him. You know, for me personally, that's why I roll alone, bro. That's exactly why I fucking roll alone, because I've counted on people before, and all you end up being is disappointed.
We'll touch on this one because we don't have enough information, I don't feel, to really get deep dive into it. So we're just going to touch on it, and then we'll come back to it if we get more information. Right. But the assassination of the Haitian president,
it's crazy.
It's crazy that you could just walk up in there and kill a president. You could kill a president of a country, basically. I mean, you know, you can. This is a dude who ruled over a bunch of people.
He got elected.
Had a shit, you know, he was the number one person in the country.
The number one guy. People are protecting him. People whose job it is to make sure that he doesn't get killed.
And then, so they're saying that one of the suspects or more is a confidential informant for the DEA. And what I find interesting is not only can you walk in, these dudes don't look like military trained dudes. I'm just saying, these look like regular average dudes. These are the people. These are the suspects. You know, they don't look like they're going to go in there and off the president of anything. Maybe the president of Blimpie.
Well, let me just say.
Maybe the manager of Blimpie.
Let me just say, if you are to be truly good at what you do, you should not, and you are an assassin, you don't necessarily want to walk around looking like an assassin.
I hear you.
You know, your goal is to blend in. I mean, look, the guys who took down 9/11, that took down the buildings, nobody stopped them at the gate.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped them getting on the plane.
They didn't walk into the freaking Biden's house and kill him.
They walked into the cockpit of the airplane.
Let me tell you something. They
made them crash.
Every number one target in Afghanistan was way harder to kill.
Sure.
He sent SEALs after them. This guy said he was
obviously
chief commander of bodyguards.
If somebody
the
killed
Canadian embassy in Hawaii.
If somebody killed the president of a country, you can bet your ass that there are people who allowed it to fucking
1,000%.
You can't.
So I'm curious to
get close enough to somebody like that without somebody allowing you to do it. Right. Somebody let them get close. Somebody let that happen. Yeah. Somebody knew that was going to happen and didn't stop it.
So I'm going to be real curious to see how that, if we even ever, if it goes even past.
All you got to do is look at the dude that's driving around a new sports car next week, because I guarantee you, whatever money he got, whatever the payoff was, he'll. I remember when I was. There was a great robbery that happened you know, they got these Brinks trucks. I don't know if you ever heard of a Brinks truck.
Yeah.
Brinks will go around, they collect money from different businesses. And the security guards go through a rigorous check and all this shit. But there was a big Brinks truck robbery that happened like back in the 80s. I don't remember the exact year.
Right.
And I was listening to him talk about it on the radio one day. And these guys got robbed. And it made the news that these guys got robbed because it's hard to rob a Brinks truck. You know?
Definitely.
And so they made off with like, I don't know, it's not gonna sound like a big amount now, but back in the 80s they made off with like $5 million.
That's a lot of money.
Which now it would be like they made off with like $100 million.
Not quite, but yeah, maybe 30 million.
40 years ago? You're talking 40 years ago.
Maybe.
Anyway,
It's a lot.
they made off of it. Like at the time, it was like, holy fuck, $5 million. Holy, how does anybody even have $5 million?
That's fair.
So, anyway, they took like $5 million. A week later, the security guards start buying houses and fucking sports cars. It took like 3 days after they did that to figure out that they had not been robbed, that they had staged the rob. And it all made the news. Like, like the whole country, like you said, back then there was very little, it wasn't 24-hour news.
You had
It was a little bit of news.
2.5 hours.
In the little bit of news that we got was this robbery. And everybody in the country was like, holy fuck, a Brinks truck got robbed.
Right.
What happened? $5 million. These guys took off with $5 million. And then, like I said, like a week later, these dudes are buying sports cars and houses and shit. And everybody's like, holy shit, did you hear? The Brinks guys faked the robbery.
That's great.
And they fucking just stole the money themselves.
So crazy.
And they could have gotten away with it.
They just weren't stupid.
The thing is, man, like, if you're a criminal, like I've always thought I could be a criminal. I've always thought if I had to be a criminal, like, because I look at what criminals do to get caught.
So
and I always think to myself, the only reason you got caught is because you're dumb as shit.
Right. I watched this show called Animal Kingdom on TNT, and it follows this like crime family in California. Like the mom grew up, she was like the crime syndicate of her boys.
Okay.
And they go out, they do these jobs where they rob places, and right, she's been doing this her entire life basically. But she was so smart with, like, you know, they take money, they divvy up. She bought rental properties, people paid rent, and so they laundered the money through all these properties and stuff.
Yeah.
They survived like 40 years, you know, however long they're out there doing this and getting away with it. And when one of them wants, you know, an extra $2,000 to go buy it, like, no, you can't have that, man. You can't be doing that shit, you know. The younger one buys himself. He embezzled a bunch of money from the mom, from his grandma, and stole a bunch of money from her, and then bought a bowling alley, paid cash for a bowling alley, and then launders the money through the bowling alley, through salaries and rent and stuff. So that he's, you know, they just took all the money, all these scores. They get like $500,000 or something. They can't just give it to the kids.
Right.
So they would launder it, and they all had a payroll. They all had a job.
Yeah.
So, you know,
these guys. That's a big thing among criminals. You ever seen the movie Gangster with Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what literally led to him catching the eye of the FBI and ultimately getting caught? His girlfriend bought him a lynx coat. It was some kind of fancy fur coat, right? He was going to a big boxing match,
Right.
and he had, you know, front row seats and all this shit. And right before they went to the boxing match, his girlfriend bought him this fancy ass fur coat, huge fur coat. So he goes to the boxing match, and the FBI is watching those kind of events back then because they know that people with big money and gamblers and all kinds of people committing crimes show up at that shit because they're the only ones that can afford to go. And he shows up, and he's the Mac Daddy of the Mac Daddy, and they all treated him that way because he had this fur coat on. And that's what drew initial attention to him and ultimately led to unraveling of one of the biggest heroin operations in American history, is because they saw him wearing a big fancy ass fur coat. So I'm saying, if you're a criminal and you're committed, your life is, you've decided, all right, I don't want to make a living. I'm going to steal. I'm going to commit crimes. I'm going to sell illegal drugs. I'm going to do something. Ultimately, they usually don't get caught doing what they're doing. Like the bank robbers don't get caught robbing the bank.
Yeah, no. They get caught.
They get caught doing some stupid shit after they've gotten away with it. Most of the times they get away. I've studied robbing banks, by the way. I know a lot about robbing banks. I read a lot about it.
Dude, honestly, banks get robbed all the time. And nope, they're just like, oh, well.
They don't catch people.
They don't catch them.
They
do not catch them.
I know, because I remember I at one point in my life, I felt comfortable enough to go into a bank. I wouldn't walk into a bank now.
You know how crazy it was through COVID when they were like, if you want to come in the bank, you have to put out a mask.
Oh man, dude.
You're like, what? We're like, all right.
At the time, for the first time in like 20 years, the restaurant that I worked at, instead of us getting paid in cash every night, they would give us a check.
Really?
At the end of the night.
Oh, wow.
A check that we had to go in the morning in cash.
That's crazy.
And I had to go to Metro City Bank, which I had never heard of. And so I looked up and they had locations all over the place. I went in without a mask because I wanted to be like, I'm just coming in to cash a check.
Right.
And they made me go back to my car and get my mask. And I was
like, I'm going to get my mask and my gun. This is the only solution.
That doesn't make me a safer person to be in the bank. If I've got a mask on, I'm tempted to commit a crime. I feel like I'm in a mask. What the fuck? I might as well grab some money while I'm in here. What the fuck is stopping me?
You're like,
don't know who I am.
I tried to do this the right way.
Right.
I've gone out. Now I have my gun and my mask, and I need more money than I have right here. So
you don't need. First of all, let me be perfectly clear. You don't need. You want to know why people rob banks? You don't need a gun to rob a bank. You don't need a gun. No. You can walk in there with a mask and a note, and if you give them a note that says "Give me money," the bank has told every bank employee never to risk your life over a robbery. So their thing is just give them the money. So the guy that I did study a bank robber just because I was fascinated by what he did. He's this Wall Street guy, and he lost all his money on Wall Street. And he lost his seat. He had a seat on Wall Street. I don't know what it means to have a seat on Wall Street, but he has a seat. He lost his seat. But he's got all these bills. And he's got a wife that is expecting him to pay all these bills. And she, of course, you know, a guy, you're going to do whatever you got to do to make your woman happy.
Right.
He couldn't figure out what the fuck to do. So he was like, I'm going to rob banks. So he studied robbing banks, and he found out a couple things about it. I'll share these things to the public. You give them a note. You don't need a gun. You don't need a mask. You don't need a disguise. You need a hat, glasses, and gloves with your hands in your pockets so that they don't see that you have gloves on. You walk in with a hat and sunglasses. This is how this guy did it. Okay. He'd walk in, he'd hand him a note, and they would hand him the money. And he was like, man, I was making as much. He's like, my wife didn't even realize I'd lost my job. Oh, damn. I was just out there robbing banks.
It's crazy.
He's like, but because I was doing it so often, ultimately the FBI was like, we need to stop this guy. He's robbing a lot of banks. God damn, we let him get away for a while.
Right.
But fuck, he keeps doing it. So he got enough money yet? But this guy owed his overhead, his bills in his life were like $30,000 a month.
Right.
So he had to make $30,000, and he was getting about $10,000 to $15,000 per bank job.
He robbed 10 banks.
Yeah. This is the guy who's pulling him up.
Let's see. His name was Gene Trantel.
He got 9 years.
No, that was John Trantel. It was Wall Street.
He got 9 years.
Steven asked for her number. His name was Steven something. Let's see. Steven lost his spot on the trading floor back in 2003, became desperate. His wife said she noticed some changes. He was losing weight. He wasn't taking care of himself. He'd snap. What else did he get here?
He's like, I'm robbing banks for you, goddammit. Leave me the fuck alone.
Oh, what is this? Oh, his dad was a cop. Okay.
Yeah.
Most
No
of them
shit.
end up because of their getaway car.
Right. He didn't use a getaway car. You know what he would do? This is what he would do. He'd walk to the bank holding a cup of coffee.
Rica's telling
He would set his coffee on the trash can outside the bank, walk into the bank, hand him a note, rob the bank, walk out, pick up his coffee, and walk down the fucking sidewalk. Isn't that fucking, dude, that is huge.
He was dog the Long
fucking
Island bank robber.
balls.
Wow,
Huge
that's
balls.
funny.
Huge balls. I studied the guy. I read all about him. I thought about.
He didn't get that much money. He got 60 grand out of 10 bangs. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like millions, but
He only robbed 9.
he robbed 10 bangs.
You know why he got
He's
caught?
actually getting out next year.
You know why he got caught?
Dude, that's not bad. Wait, when was this written? This was written in 2011, so he's been out. He only got a couple. Dude,
Yeah.
dude,
He got no time.
He got no time.
He got no time. The reason he got no time is because he didn't have a gun. That's why he didn't get any time. Because he didn't have a gun.
All right. Take notes.
Right.
Shit.
When I read his story, and they did like a Dateline on it.
Yeah, it's a CNBC thing on.
Yeah. They did like a thing. I watched the whole thing. I was like, fuck.
Gave him a
man.
note.
Yeah, he
Like,
gave him a
hey,
note.
hey.
And the only reason they caught him, is because his.
That's crazy, man.
the only reason-
Yes, a fingerprint
because
on one of the notes.
He left a fingerprint on one of the notes, and they had his fingerprint because he was a Wall Street guy, and they
Damn.
ultimately caught him because of that. And one day he was at an intersection, and like, you know how federal marshals just converge on your ass,
Right.
And so his wife was like, they were like, your husband is a bank robber, and she was like, get the fuck out of here. He's not a bank robber. And they're like, wow. And then she goes to visit him in jail, and she's like, they're saying you're a bank robber, and he's like, I'm a bank robber.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. Crazy shit.
All right, I'm gonna have to feed these kids probably about
Okay.
the next 15 minutes.
We got one
I
more?
want to end. Well,
wanna do one more?
We'll save the other one for maybe tomorrow or something. But I want to go. You asked me on the last one about relationships, just a random thing,
Jesus.
and I'm gonna come
Oh,
at you
Jesus.
with something else,
Oh,
not
Lord.
relationships. But I'm gonna, because you don't know who this guy is right here, Gary Vaynerchuk. And I've talked about Gary, but you don't know who he is. But he's a pretty wealthy, self-made dude, and he has a huge social media following. And he has a couple messages here, and I want to play one for you, and then I want you to tell me because this is a powerful message, and a lot of people probably also don't know who Gary is. And I'm going to pop it up here, and a lot of what he says is pretty, I would say, empowering stuff.
Sure.
But I want to let me switch my window here to whichever one it is. There we go. And this is just him about stop judging yourself, and then one about regret. And that's what I want to talk about to finish the show.
All right. I can't hear.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to hold on. Let me fix my audio here. You're gonna have to put the headphones on, maybe. And I'm gonna unmute it so that they can hear it too. Gary Vaynerchuk wants to buy the New York Jets. That's one of his dreams. He's got probably almost enough money to do it. But
How much money has he got?
He's worth over half $500 million.
$500 million ain't enough to buy the Jets.
It's not, but I said he's getting there. I mean, he's close. But this is him talking about how people judge you and how you should judge yourself.
I secretly hope I wake up one day and don't want to buy the Jets anymore and don't want to work the way I want to work and want to do something else completely left field. And I can't wait to wake up, look in the camera and be like, I'm out, and leave and not give a fuck what anybody says. Oh, he figured out that he couldn't do it, so he did this. Or, see, you can't work like Gary Vee. He got burned out. Like, don't give a fuck. If I genuinely in my soul feel it, I can't wait to go build fucking sandcastles in Peru for the rest of my life.
So fucking empowering,
And
man,
that's
because we
it.
get trapped by the identity that we've formerly
Tom
created.
Bellew said it. He pegged it for me. He goes, you know what your superpower is? I'm like, what? He's like, you don't judge yourself. I'm like, fuck, you're right. And that's what that was. This is why I'm so hot on this judgment thing. The great blessing of my life is that I don't judge myself. I hold myself accountable. Doesn't mean you go and be reckless when I fuck up and I suck. I'm not delusional. It's just that I just don't overjudge it. Everyone's tearing themselves down. What the fuck are you doing that for? Everybody else is doing it for you. Stop beating yourself up. I secretly
There's
hope I
that
wake up.
one. And I find that empowering because people do oftentimes judge themselves unfairly in their life, and he takes a lot of scrutiny. But then I want to play part of this one, not the whole thing, just part of it. as well about regrets, because he does a lot of keynote speeches for younger people.
The biggest poison in us is regret. It's poison. And I push so hard, and will, through my vehicle, which isn't meditation, which isn't health and wellness, which isn't nonprofit. My vehicle is business. I can't help it. It's what I love. I love building businesses. I love competing with you. I want to beat you. I love that game. But through that vehicle, I will always push a lack of regret and awareness to how good it really is. You're more than welcome to tell me about how bad it is or why you can't, because or what, but it's just not true. Because if anybody ever did it, then you can too. Stop making excuses. Stop complaining. Nobody's listening. They may pretend they're listening. The market doesn't care. What you need to do is make one person happy, you. Then you can make everybody else happy. You know why I like making people happy? Because I'm already happy. And so I implore you to take this last little rant and really look at your fucking face and understand, are you doing the things that are putting you in a position to succeed? Not just in a business world, but in life. Because it's super important, because boy, when you're happy in life, your fucking business can roll. And so I'm just trying to figure it out. And I've been trying to figure it out in front of you for the last 7, 8 years, trying to figure out the unlocks, EQ, IQ, self-awareness, hustle. I don't know what they are. You know why? Because like I told my man, it's 330 different unlocks. And so I'll go to all of them. They're all tried and true. And one might hit you. Yeah, it was hard work because I'm actually lazy. I talk a good game, but I'm full of shit. Or it might be something else, but fuck, one. And so, you decided to sit? You're into this, right? It's good, right? This is some good shit. You're gonna remember this?
I do.
Good. One fucking life. One life, my friends, one time. And honestly, I'll leave you with this because a lot of you need it. How you make your money is more important than how much you make.
You know, you're into money. You're into money.
I mean, I have aspirations that require money. But one thing that, and it wasn't in this clip, but there's another one where he talks about if you go to a retirement home and you go talk to people who are 80 and 90 years old, the one thing that is evident in all of their eyes that you see in every one of them is regret. They all regret something in their life that they've done to themselves or to somebody else, something they didn't do because of whatever, because of how they judge themselves. And it's powerful to think, like, if you could live, hey, it's giving us the light. If you could live your life without regret, that's powerful. And to say how you make your money is more important than how much you make is very true. Because I'm leaving the business that I run now to do something that makes me happy. It won't make me as much money currently. Maybe in the future it will, but right now it won't. But I can tell you this, I took yesterday off. I didn't go in there because I was burned out. I've been in there all weekend. And I was immensely more happy sitting right here, watching stocks, editing our podcast clips, putting them on YouTube, getting to see my kids, immensely more happy. And I did for sure live life with regret prior to, I regret a lot of things with my kids growing up. I think a lot of us do. Sure. And to move forward and live life without regret, I think everyone can do it. And it's a powerful message to look at and go, okay, you get one life. And he talks a lot about in other videos. And he's, Gary, he's basically, he does a lot of good speeches, and he's very brutal and blunt and honest with people. And people feel like, Marshall, you could live, people live to be 100. You might make it there. You might make it to 110. Who knows? But think about this. You could damn near do everything you've ever done in your entire life over again. Only you have an advantage that you didn't start off as a baby.
Right. Well,
and people feel old and people live life with regret. And I don't think that you should.
Right. No, I agree with that, man. Look, for me personally, in terms of being happy. I always fear happiness. I'm always afraid to be happy. I'm always, in my own life, every time I've ever been happy, and I'll give you the El Toro episode as an example.
Okay.
My happiness was the fact that we had made it to 10 episodes. I didn't think we would. When I came over here the very first time, because I went and did that. I don't know if I told you about the Bob and Tom episode, but I went and did that, and I thought that was going to be a big moment in my life. And and everybody hyped it up, and everyone, I drove out, and everyone I knew about it, and they were all going to watch, and they were all going to listen, and I was so excited about it. And I had the same thing here. And then when we came and we did episode 10, I couldn't believe that we were doing a 10th. I was just like, I can't believe we're doing a 10th episode. That's amazing to me, that as much as I've fucked up as I've gotten here, as many times as I've left this house and tried to drive and had no idea and didn't even, just woke up in the morning and was like, did I dream that we did a podcast last night? Did we do a podcast? And people would call me and be like, dude, that guy's never going to call you again. He's not going to let you do a podcast. And then ultimately you always did. You would contact me again and you would be like, when are you available? And then I would think to myself, oh, when I get there, he's going to yell at me. And each time it's just like, oh, pal, get down. Let's go. We can come in here and talk. Man, look.
You know why? Because
I've always been terrified of happiness.
You shouldn't be. The problem is exactly what Gary is saying. You judge yourself more. You have a judgment of what other people. I have adopted this mentality where I try not to live with regret. And if I mess up in life, and if I do something that makes somebody upset or unhappy with me, I try to just learn from it. I try not to regret that decision, and I just move past it, and I just go, okay. And I move on, and I don't judge myself for it, and I don't go, oh, I should have done better. I should have done this. I don't look at that and go, oh, man, I really and let me tell you, I've lost more money in the last 3 months doing dumb shit that I should regret. And I wake up and I go, it's a new day. And I look at this and I go, you know what you did yesterday? That doesn't matter.
Well, but here's what I've experienced. That's just different. I feel like when I hear that, I get what you're saying, and I understand that, and I feel like that's a very normal human experience. But for me, early on, I just feel like there's so many people out there that enjoyed seeing me be humiliated and enjoyed hurting me. And were so angered by my happiness. If I celebrated anything, if I got happy about anything for a second, my whole life, not just now, my whole life, even as a little kid, I'd be a little kid, I'd be happy about something. There was always somebody there to just smack me down and be like, and I would just be like, man, what did I do wrong? Why is somebody mad at me right now for just being happy? And I felt like it followed me right up until that moment. I was so happy at episode 10. I was just like, I was sitting here, I was just pounding fucking shots. I was like, episode 10, I've made it. This is the ultimate level of success in my life. And man, I've lived my whole life with nothing, man. When I say nothing, I haven't lived like somebody from Honduras who's had to eat dirt. But when I tell you I've had nothing, man, I've had nothing. And everybody has always just made fun of me for even suggesting that I could one day be successful. I feel like even when I get pulled up on an open mic and they pull me up, they're hoping that I'm going to go up there and fail. They're hoping that I'm going to go up there and humiliate myself. Nobody's rooting for me. And maybe I finally found, I pray to God, I finally found one place that I belong. I finally found one thing that I can do. I feel so safe in this room. I feel so safe in this chair. I feel so able to be myself. And his message is strong. And if you want to make money and that's how you want to do it, that's great.
It's not about how much money you make.
But
He knows billionaires who are miserable.
Yeah,
People who make
of course,
20 grand
sure.
a year.
I'll bet
that
there's
are the
millionaires that
happiest
are
people
miserable.
he knows.
Yeah. I'm around people that make less than 20 grand a
Yeah.
year, and they're happy as fuck. I see them all the time. So I would say this: find a place where you can just be yourself and be accepted for who you are. Because that for me has been the hardest thing I've ever had to find in my life. I've never found it until now, and I'll be honest with you. I'm terrified of losing it. I really am. It is now my greatest fear. My before I used to worry about letting people down and disappointing people, but now I worry about just having the happiness that I experience being taken away. For real. That for me. You want a story? That's a story. That's the truth. My life has been spent. Every single time I'm happy, every single time I'm enjoying myself, every time I'm celebrating, every time I'm really thrilled and I'm proud of myself. There's always somebody that just comes along and tries to take that away from me. And sometimes it's a lot of people. And sometimes they're not just happy taking away my happiness. They need to humiliate me and grind my face in the fucking ground. And I'm just like, man, what the fuck? I was just happy for a second. What the fuck are you mad about? And so now I've got this one thing after all this time, man. And let me tell you, it is arriving in this chair was not easy. It was not. It may seem like not much, but to me, it's fucking everything I've ever dreamed of. And the fear that I have of it being taken away drives me every second of the day to do exactly what's right, to come back and make you guys happy and the people that are watching and I want people to be like, oh man, you got to see this because these guys are trying to do something. They're not just bitching about the world. They're not just trying to throw some jokes up there, although I want you to laugh and have a good time. I want you to feel, and I want you to experience, and I want you to have faith in yourself. And don't worry about what you make. Don't worry about where you are right now, man. It will and it can get better. No matter where you are, it can get better. And I hope that my voice is reaching you. I hope that you're hearing what I'm saying. And I hope that you're growing as a result of it. And if that happens, then I'm the richest person in the fucking world. Some people are born free. Some people die free. Some people are just living free as fuck. I love you guys with all my heart. God bless you. Have a good night.
Thanks everyone for coming out and listening. I hope you took that to heart. I did tell Marshall today that I wanted him to tell a story, just any story. And I kind of baited him into that one with regret because I listened to Gary a good bit, and I listen to a lot of people that I look up to, and I find reassurance in and motivation and being driven in. And I don't know, Marshall just kind of struck me as someone who does live a lot of your life with regret. And I feel like at some point, buddy, we just got to let it go, and we got to move on and be happy with what we have and where we're going. And that shit we can't change, but what we can do is we can affect people today. And I will end with a positive note of something that happened recently to me. And it was so random. I had it was like a week ago. No, it was 2 weeks ago. I had the kids, so it was 2 weeks ago, and I did something. I can't remember.
By the way, is the chin strap new?
The chin strap? No. I've had this. I've had this for 15 years.
Was it a goatee before?
No.
It's always been
It's
chin
always
strap?
been there.
How could I not know
I
that?
don't know. Yeah, Toro. So I did something that I cannot remember for the life of me now what the first thing was. I did something that it was something so random for somebody. I did, and they were so utterly I know what it was. It was I met a guy at the skate park. I took the kids to the skate park.
Yeah. You told me that story.
Yeah, and this guy met me and came up and he introduced himself, gave me a card for right here, skatelesson.com. And he teaches skateboard lessons at our local park here. And I called him out, randomly the next day just to book a skate lesson for my kid because I felt like he was kind of getting frustrated about, not doing well and stuff. And so he met me up there. I paid him for the hour. I talked to him for a little bit, asked him about shirts, ended up making him some t-shirts. We're doing a little deal on the shirts for skate lessons. And he was so happy that he had met me and that I went home and took his logo and created some cool apparel that he could wear to the skate park. Like he was and apparently he lives right behind me. Like you can get there through my neighborhood. He's like my neighbor damn near. And he was just so ecstatic and I couldn't, I was like, wow, it's crazy that I changed this guy. This guy is over the moon and happy. And I was like, that was incredible. It felt really good.
Sure.
The next day, I took off a little early. We took the kids to the lake. I was meeting Jacob up there to go wakeboarding. And we get to the dock, just me and the boys and the dog, and put the boat in the water. And I pull up to, I got to go park the car, go up to the boat. And there's this couple on the dock, this black guy and his girlfriend or wife. And they were laying on the dock. They didn't have a boat. They were just laying there, having like a little picnic on the dock, which is not, just in case you were wondering, it's not a place you have a picnic. But they were laying out there, and he was like, "Wow, the boat." He goes, "Yeah, man, I've never been on a boat." I'm like, "Oh man, it's a lot of fun." He's, whatever. He's talking to me for a little bit. I get out. I got to move the car. It's on the boat ramp, so I get out. I go move the car. Come back, and there was something about this guy that I just had to ask. I came back, and he was like, I was gonna say, "What's your name, friend?" He looks at me. He goes, "What's your name, friend?" Literally, same words that were in my head. I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you." He goes, "Yeah, I just always wanted to go on the water and stuff." And so I'm like, "Hey, man, I got some time before Jacob gets here. Just hop on the boat. We'll go for a ride." He's like, "Where do you even go?" I'm like, "We go wherever the fuck we want, dude. It's lake. We just fucking go. We're going to go wakeboarding." He didn't know anything about that. So him and his significant other get on the boat, and I take him for a little cruise around the lake for 10 minutes while we're waiting on Jacob. And I can tell you that I took a little Snapchat and sent to Megan, these people just on my boat, And for that 10 minutes, those people couldn't have had a better time.
Sure.
And they were moving and they had a stressful day and they just drove out there and were like, it's so beautiful. And it made their day. And I took, it's the smallest gesture that could have changed their entire world.
No doubt.
And here's the thing. Don't live your life with regrets. Don't worry about what the fuck other people are doing. And don't look down. Came back and got you with it, didn't I? Don't look down.
All right. Well,
there's nothing down there for you, buddy.
I will say this.
Some people want to scream at you from below. You know what? I say thanks.
It's nice to know that I'm gonna go from here and have a place to stay. That's a good feeling.
It is.
That's a good feeling.
I appreciate all you guys listening in. We'll see you next time. We're going to do these more often.
Yeah.
Definitely hit the like. Send us some comments of what you'd like us to talk about. We do cover a lot of current events, but I also want to cover other things just in general life. Just to give people some motivation, some drive to just be the best person they can fucking be. And live free.
It wasn't a half-hour show, by the way.
It wasn't. Yeah, well.
We do what we want.
We appreciate you, big boy. Thanks for hanging out with us the whole time.